What if the man you married on a whim to repay a debt of kindness turned out to be the billionaire CEO who's been secretly in love with you for years? Dive into this whirlwind romance packed with shocking twists, hidden identities, and a love that defies all odds. Subscribe now to unlock this captivating 4,000-word tale of sacrifice, secrets, and second chances. Don't miss the drama that will keep you hooked until the very last word. In the bustling city of Cresthaven, where skyscrapers kissed the clouds and dreams were as fragile as glass, Lila Monroe stood at the edge of her crumbling world. At 27, she was a talented but struggling graphic designer, drowning in debt from her late mother's medical bills and barely keeping her tiny apartment. Her life had been a series of sacrifices, but none weighed heavier than the memory of a stranger's kindness 5 years ago, a man who'd paid for her mother's emergency surgery when Lila had nothing but tears to offer. She never caught his name, only his warm hazel eyes and a promise to pay it forward. That vow haunted her, a flickering light in her darkest moments. So when she overheard a desperate conversation at a diner about a young man named Ethan Reed, a dishwasher, facing eviction unless he could scrape together $5,000 by week's end, Lila saw her chance to repay that long-ago favor. Ethan was scruffy, with calloused hands and a shy smile, his worn jacket barely holding together. Without hesitation, she offered to help, but there was a catch. Ethan needed a wife to secure a small inheritance from a distant relative, a legal hoop to jump through by the next day. Lila, impulsive and driven by her debt of gratitude, proposed a wild solution: flash marriage. They'd wed for a day, split the inheritance, and part ways. Ethan, stunned but cornered, agreed, his quiet gratitude tugging at her heart. The next morning, in a dingy courthouse, Lila stood in a borrowed dress, exchanging vows with a man she barely knew, her heart pounding with a mix of recklessness and purpose. The judge's words were a blur, but Ethan's gentle "I do" felt oddly sincere. After the ceremony, they shared a nervous laugh over cheap coffee, and Lila couldn't shake the feeling that his gaze lingered too long, like he saw something in her she didn't. The plan was simple. Ethan would get the money, pay his debts, and they'd annul the marriage by week's end. But life, as Lila would learn, loved its twists. Days later, Ethan invited her to a thank-you dinner at his cramped apartment, where she noticed a strange detail: a sleek laptop and a stack of business books tucked under a rickety table, out of place for a dishwasher. When she pressed him, Ethan deflected with a boyish grin, but his evasiveness sparked her curiosity. Meanwhile, Layla's own world was unraveling. Her landlord served an eviction notice, and her freelance gigs dried up. Desperate, she confided in Ethan, who offered her a temporary place to stay. Reluctantly, she moved into his modest studio, where late-night talks revealed his sharp mind and quiet ambition. He spoke of dreams to build something meaningful, though he never elaborated, and Lila found herself drawn to his warmth, his laugh, the way he made her feel seen. But doubts gnawed at her. Why did he seem so comfortable with her, a stranger? One evening, while grabbing takeout, Lila spotted Ethan in a tailored suit, stepping out of a black SUV with a man who looked like a bodyguard. Her heart sank. Was he a con artist? A criminal? Confronting him later, she demanded answers, but Ethan's face paled, and he mumbled something about a side job. The truth unraveled when Lila, unable to sleep, snooped through his desk and found a hidden folder with documents naming him as Ethan Caldwell, CEO of Caldwell Enterprises, a tech empire worth billions. Her mind reeled. Ethan, the dishwasher, was a billionaire? The papers also held a photo of her from 5 years ago, outside the hospital, her face tear-streaked but hopeful. A note in Ethan's handwriting read, "Find her, help her." The realization hit like a tidal wave. Ethan was the stranger who'd saved her mother. He'd known her all along, orchestrating their meeting at the diner, the marriage, all of it. Furious and betrayed, Lila confronted him at dawn, her voice shaking, as she accused him of manipulating her life. Ethan didn't deny it. He confessed he'd fallen for her the day they met at the hospital, her strength and selflessness searing into his soul. He'd spent years searching for her, building his empire while keeping tabs from afar. When he learned of her struggles, he staged the diner scene, hoping to help without revealing himself, fearing she'd reject him as a wealthy stranger. The marriage, though, was his reckless leap, a chance to be close to her, even if just for a day. Leela's anger warred with her heart. She'd grown to care for Ethan, but his deception stung. She stormed out, vowing to annul the marriage and cut ties. Days passed in a haze of hurt, but Crusthaven had one more twist. Leela's latest design pitch, a long shot for a major client, was accepted by Caldwell Enterprises. At the meeting, Ethan stood before her, not as a dishwasher but as the CEO, his eyes pleading. He offered her a contract worth millions, but with a condition: work with him, give him a chance to earn her trust. Torn, Leela accepted, drawn by the spark she couldn't deny. Months of collaboration blurred the lines between professional and personal. Ethan proved his love in quiet ways, covering her rent anonymously, championing her designs, sharing his fears of never being enough for her. One night, under Crusthaven's starlit skyline, Lila saw the man who'd loved her silently for years. Not the CEO or the dishwasher, but Ethan. She kissed him, her heart choosing forgiveness. Their marriage, once a fleeting favor, became real, built on truths hard-won and a love that had weathered secrets. Years later, as they stood together at a charity gala, Lila's designs lighting up the room and Ethan's arm around her, she realized some debts like love are never fully repaid, only cherished.